off now to Sydney's North Head. Spectacular views of the harbour out here. Great walks ahead of us, and below us, this great military base that operated during the Second World War. A heavenly sunrise is giving a golden glow to the cliffs of South Head opposite to us this morning. And there, flowing west to the city, Sydney Harbour is turning on its most inviting face. An inspiring place to work, wouldn't you say? Well, that's the view of Barry McDonald here. At 85 years old, Barry spends his days volunteering to show people around North Head.
I was born and bred here in Sydney, and this has to be, on a day like this, one of the best views.
So this is your job. You're a volunteer after working full-time as an accountant all your life, and now you can take this in on a daily basis showing tourists around.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of walks through the bush with the fauna and flora, and the bandicoots. We may have about upwards of 200 here.
North Head is also the setting for an historic cemetery. Barry's wife Marie guides visitors around this. This cemetery, this quarantine cemetery, has to have the best view in the world, does it not?
I agree totally, and when I bring people up on a tour, it's always wow. This is the last of the quarantine cemeteries. It just so happens it is on a military site, former military site.
This is Annie Egan's grave. Yes. She was a nurse, 27 years old. What's her story?
She was recently graduated from St Vincent's Hospital, and she joined the Australian Army Nurses, and she volunteered to nurse the soldiers of HMAT Medic who had returned to Australia with the Spanish flu. She contracted Spanish flu a couple of days into her service at the quarantine station, and unfortunately she died.
The memorial walk around North Head is made up of thousands of pavers, engraved with the names of men and women who've served in various Aussie military campaigns. What a story here. 13 separate servicemen, all the way from the Maori War, 1845.
Yes, Lieutenant Colonel Ewan of the McPherson family in the Maori Wars in New Zealand, 1845, and the subsequent generations of the family, culminating in another Lieutenant Colonel, John McPherson, who served in South Vietnam.
So there we've got the McPhersons running all the way from the Maori War, 1845, all the way through to South Vietnam. Whole line, 13 members of that.
Yes, a great memory for the family.
The military theme is no better represented than by this giant cannon. Whopping big black cannon here, 9 metres long.
This was installed over at South Head in 1892 at a time when they thought the Russians were going to come and attack Sydney.
So the Russians did not attack in that time?
No, not at that time.
Below ground there's another world. 48 steps straight down takes us into a big military base built during the Second World War to defend Sydney against the Japanese. Tunnels, plenty of those, linking various parts of the defence operation. Massive turbines remain, used to create the power that drove this hidden complex. And integral to the entire operation, the plotting room, staffed by a team of women. This was an underground army facility that fed, was serviced by hundreds of servicemen and women.
The plotting table, or the plotting room here, was manned by women, and they were the first to be treated as on the front line.
This room stored the shells that would have fired on enemy warships. Those shells would have been winched straight up to the gun emplacement. Heart of the action right here. This is where this massive, massive cannon would have pointed out to sea.
And they're all busy getting the shells off the trolleys towards the back of the gun to load it and be ready for action.
So this black and white footage we're looking at, we're seeing the shells loaded and we're seeing it fired. What an impressive sight.
Yes, and I believe the people living nearby could hear it.
North Head, open these days for public tours, a vivid reminder that while there was never a shell fired in anger, wartime Sydney was well defended.